Growing up, I always had an appreciation for women. Um, I don't know, I just really got along with women. I got along with my male counterparts too. I had, a crew, as most young men do growing up, but I really enjoyed conversating with women. I think it was just the energy, the rapport back and forth. I always felt like I was learning something and teaching something at the same time, just and more just point of view and it always turned into a conversation where we were both inquisitive about each other's perspective. And that just was something I think I've always, ever since elementary school, I think it's always been a thing for me. And as I got older, you hit puberty, hormones start, you know, expressing themselves. And then it's, in addition to enjoying the conversation and being friends, now I'm attracted. So it kind of was like a progression. I'm attracted to the women that I actually have a friendship or a rapport with. Like, not only do we get along just in conversation and ideas and things of that nature, but now, there's a physical, chemical thing happening. So, not that I'm a unique individual, but just kind of an explanation of what happened with me and how I developed the way that I am. But there was no language to describe the idea of genuinely wanting a relationship, like friendship and physicality, with more than one person at the same time. It was seen as, oh, you're a player, you're greedy, there's no discipline, you just like want to have sex with a bunch of different women, like, you know, or you're a player. Like, it just, there were a lot of different colloquialisms, none of which were very flattering, and very much stereotypical. But I didn't feel like those described me. But it felt like I was doing something wrong because there was nothing except for my own feelings to legitimize what I was experiencing. Of course, in high school, you know, just because I was attracted to the women that I was talking to doesn't mean that they were attracted to me. That wasn't necessarily the approach that, teenage girls were really attracted to. I lacked a certain physicality that my peers had. And so, I was left to be the friend to all the girls that I was attracted to, which was fine with me. I didn't have any issue with that. Tables started to turn once I left high school, though. Especially I left my hometown and was exposed to a whole different demographic of women, older women, where my approach or my conversation was appreciated in a way that it hadn't been when I was in high school. And all of a sudden I became attractive. And what I wanted from her, she also wanted from me. But there was always more than one woman who wanted that. And unfortunately, I didn't know how to say no. And It's because, and it's going to sound hard to believe, I really just enjoyed the company. It was a bonus that now they wanted me as much as I wanted them. But if there wasn't any sex, I still would have been cool just hanging out, right? Hanging out with a cool female, like, and not on my terms, but on our terms. It was just dope. Like, I felt like I was flooding my brain with all this intuition and all this knowledge and becoming a better man, especially if in the back of my head, the better that I can treat and the more that I know about a woman, the better man that I can be. In addition to, you know, what my father instilled in me with regards to being a man and taking care of your family and things of that nature. But there were times where I literally had 4 girlfriends at the same time, and not just I'm having sex with 4 different women. It was literally conversations, talking on the phone, going to the movies, going out on dates, dinner. It was like I really was keeping up multiple relationships at the same time. But again, I wasn't exposed to the language that they have now to describe what it was I was doing. Ultimately, to these women, and also they didn't know about each other, I was cheating. I was, you know, in 4 different committed relationships, feigning monogamy, and that's not right. There was also a fear that if these women, part of the energy or the thing that attracted them to me was the fact that they were the only ones that had access to me. Like, exclusivity made it special, which is weird because we do that with products as well. And, you know, this can lead into a whole nother conversation, but it's like, it would be less special what we had between us if other women experienced it. And, you know, as I got older and started to explore what it meant to desire multiple women or desire relationships with multiple women, I started to wonder, like, I didn't have natural feelings. I think any insecurities I felt were more like, this is what I'm supposed to feel this, because it can't be special for a woman if she wants more than one man. And it sounds backwards, and especially from how I was conducting myself, but it just seemed like that was the way. Much to my surprise, you know, I'm not sure when polyamory and ethically non-monogamous became culturally acceptable terminologies and practices, but once I started to hear those terms being used more frequently, and they became less outlierish, like they weren't outliers, they were more mainstream, it made me think about my mentality, my thought process, my desires, my feelings, and come to the conclusion that I've kind of been this way my entire life. But I also have wanted to participate in a monogamous relationship as well. So I can say that polyamory or non-monogamy is a spectrum that I'm on. I do have the capacity to be in that space. I understand what it means to me and what would be necessary as far as, forming a partnership with multiple women at the same time, whether we all coexist together, or if it's just separate situations, but everyone's aware of the format or the situation. No one's in the dark. And it's not, for me, it's not limited to me. Like, I don't think it would be fair for me to, and not even just fair, like, I think that's part of it. I want them to experience as much joy and happiness out of an unrestricted access as much as I would. And so, the non-monogamy goes both ways. If I have multiple partners, the partners that I have are able to engage with multiple partners as long as there's clarity and safety and consent. It's not necessarily what I'm looking to engage in now, but it's more a conversation, that broaches a lot of different subjects that make any type of relationship, whether it's monogamous or not, whether it's friendship or romantic, whether it's just physically intimate, the pillars that keep those relationships, fruitful and prosperous up until they end or begin again, they're very similar. The communication aspect, being honest with each other about everything, respecting privacy as well. Limiting codependency, avoiding any aspects of control. It's all about volunteering, like signing up for whatever it is you're engaging in, and having the freedom to begin or end, when you desire, and actually being able to have a conversation with the people that are involved to determine what they feel about it. It's all about never taking away the choices of the people that you're around. I have had a relationship like that before, after I say a properly informed non-monogamous relationship, and it was fun. It was a different space. There was a level of transparency that I don't think that I ever felt safe enough to engage in. And partly that's my fault, because I was in a relationship prior where my partner, my woman, or the woman that I was with, expressed to me, all you have to do is tell me the truth. But, coming from the space that I was in, as a young man, that wasn't always a clear-cut invitation to tell the truth. Sometimes it was an invitation to open up, only to have your truth used against you. And that safe space to be honest is super valuable. Like, I don't think I could ever be in a relationship again that I wasn't able to tell my complete truth all the time, and that my partner didn't feel like she could either, or partners. It is a non-starter if we can't handle each other's truths. Not saying that you have to agree with it, but I need to feel safe, and you should feel safe to be able to express it. So yeah, being in love with more than one woman at a time Traditionalists will say that concept is very selfish and damn near impossible. But I think traditional romanticism, is actually fantastical. You are selling a fantasy that there's no way it could be real. Because if you said those same romantic things that you read on Hallmark cards and Valentine's Day candy and all of that stuff in a different tone, on a different space, it's very stalkerish. It's very scary. And you wouldn't want a person looking at you a certain way saying, I can't live without you. I can't breathe. I'll die if I don't have you next to me. It teeters on obsession. And that's a line, unfortunately, that is very unhealthy to tread on. Because in some instances, it's coveted and it makes you feel special. And then on the other ones, it makes you feel smothered. And I never had a good experience trying to straddle that. A lot of the time, because it's not up to me, it's subjective to the person who's experiencing it. So I may be doing the same thing consistently throughout our interaction, but depending on how you feel on any given day and any given moment, you could feel completely safe and covered and enveloped in love. And then the other, you could be like, can you please give me some fucking space? And I can't handle that. I like clear communication. That's what's romantic to me. Your truth and my truth and us sharing those, that's romantic to me. And the truth is, there's a lot of attraction that happens on a daily basis. There's a lot of interaction consistently with the opposite sex or whatever sex you're attracted to on a daily basis. We grow and change moment to moment, experience to experience on a regular basis. The ebb and flow, the honeymoon stage, all of these things that we try to describe and explain are much simpler than, we make them out to be. We're just constantly evolving. So sometimes what you were and who you are in the beginning or in the moment may not be who you are or what you feel 30 minutes down the line, depending on your experience. So the realest thing that I could do is be honest and say, if I am having feelings or if I am desiring to be with someone else, and if it's enough where it's disturbing my peace, then it's something that we should be able to talk about, and in a real way, not, well, you better do this, or I want to be able to be honest and give you the space, or give a woman the space to make a decision whether it's something that we can figure out or whether we need to go our separate ways. And I'm speaking about this because there's a lot of mental health, emotional, intelligent, points that either make this impossible or not possible. So I think it's important in a healthy discussion to actually, understand that there's more than one way to be in a loving, healthy, honest relationship. And that somebody who feels the way that I do, or other, you know, alternative, and I don't even say alternative, other relationship styles that are not monogamy, that they have the capacity, that I have the capacity to be just as loving and devoted as someone who only ever wants to be with one person at a time. I never want to lie about wanting other women, but I also don't want to be reduced to a womanizer, or a person who can't keep it in his pants, or just wants to have sex with more than one woman at the same time, because I say I desire multiple relationships, or, you know, I met this woman and she's just amazing, but then I met this woman 6 months down the line and she's amazing too, but it doesn't take away from what I have the first woman that I like. That's a real set of emotional, that's a real emotional framework, and it's been this way for me my entire life. So I'm glad now that, again, there's language and there's resources, and a lot more people are able to talk about those type of feelings. Again, I don't think I'm a unicorn. I'm not unique in any way. I just know it feels good when you find your voice and are able to express it. And that's it. Have a good one.